Welcome back. I'm Brandon, the HBAR Bull. As many of you know, I do some work for the HBAR Foundation, but these weekend updates are all my opinions or those of my guests, not the HBAR Foundation. This week we have a lot to cover. We have a date for the implementation of network staking, we interviewed the CEO of Headstarter, and there are several stories about the expansion of the HBAR economy and ecosystem. Plus, we explain how and why the actions of the Federal Reserve and rising interest rates impacts the crypto and HBAR markets. But that's at the end with the market commentary, so it's worth sticking around. I think it's worth getting started with the staking news, so let's get it. All right, so there's some big things going on in the world of Hedera. I know recently we talked about how Hedera network staking had been delayed a bit, and that was because they were going through the public deliberation process where they talk through exactly how they're going to implement it, and that took a little bit longer than anticipated. And I was thinking we might not get Hedera network staking until the end of Q3 or possibly even Q4. But if you go take a look at the Hedera network website, you'll see upcoming releases, and they have version 0.27. I believe this has already been implemented on the preview net. It's going to be implemented on testnet on June 23rd, and it's going to be coming to mainnet on July 14th, so not long at all. And they're going to be implementing two Hedera improvement proposals, 423 for long-term scheduled transactions, and HIP 406, which is for staking, or at least the first phase of it. So what they say is native staking will deploy in several phases. The first phase in release 0.27 will allow users to stake their HBAR to a node. When the staking reward account 0.0.800 is sufficiently funded, and when the total HBAR staked to a node exceeds the minimum stake threshold, users will receive staking rewards for each full day they stake as a side effect of any transaction that changes their balance. They also go on to say the values for threshold 0.0.800 balance and the minimum stake threshold are still under review for the council, so there's still some work to be done, but it's coming pretty fast and furious. I know the entire community has been waiting for staking for a long time, and it looks like we're going to get it in July. Today we welcome Tudor Holotescu, the CEO of Headstarter, to hear about his journey within the Hedera ecosystem. Tudor, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Brandon. It's been a long time coming.
It has been. I know. This has been postponed a few times, so I'm glad we finally got you on.
Yeah, for years it feels like.
Yeah. So, Tudor, to kick it off, can you just give us a quick run through on your background?
Sure. So I started, let's say, my journey in the crypto space in 2017. So I'm from that class of that particular bull market. Although I finished computer science earlier in my life, I pursued a MSc with the University of Nicosia in blockchain and digital currencies. And that's when everything clicked a lot. I feel like especially understanding finance and monetary policy and vibing with the Austrian School of Economics changed a lot in my perception about the world in general. And I decided to stick and try to build something in the ecosystem that I feel so strongly about. Since then, I started a crypto-based community here in Dubai. It's one of the biggest meetup groups. And also working on a few projects, as you may know. In the ecosystem.
Absolutely. So you've read a little bit of Hayek and Mises, Austrian school stuff?
Exactly. It's it's eye-opening to me. Coming from generally a computer science background, always my parents gearing me towards engineering. It's something that we never were confronted with, and I think that it should be taught to people a lot more.
Yeah, for sure. So what exactly brought you to Hedera, and have you done anything before in the ecosystem?
Yeah, so with Hedera, I think the first time I heard about Hedera was in 2017 in Dubai, when Mans and Tom Tobridge were doing the tour pre-launch. And it sparked a few ideas in my head of what can be built on top of Hedera. Sure enough, I was involved with it since open access, both from investment side and also trying to understand the SDK a lot more. with the Hedera ambassadors in the Middle East, we started HBAR a few years ago. And HBAR is a gig economy marketplace built on top of Hedera. We still have a bright vision for HBAR, but while building HBAR and interacting with a lot of the community members and the people building on top of Hedera, we realized that there was a gap, especially at that time, for projects to have the monetary power to keep building on top of Hedera, and also for them to have a user base. That's why we always, although we tried to branch out and get some investment for HBAR, it was always difficult. And we always thought that a launchpad is something that Hedera was missing. Once we heard about the HBAR Foundation, I knew that the ecosystem is really set to grow. I think that with the incentives that the HBAR Foundation is giving out, it's a no-brainer that the Hedera ecosystem is bound to go up by leaps and bounds. And I think that Headstarter is a key missing piece in the whole ecosystem growth. And what we aim to do with Headstarter is to really enable the growth of the Hedera ecosystem.
I gotcha. So, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I think this ecosystem is going to take off. Can you give us a little bit of a deeper dive of what Headstarter is doing and how people can get involved?
Certainly. So, Headstarter is the ideal launchpad for Hedera Hashgraph native projects. We want to do a lot more than being an ideal launchpad. We want to be able to revolutionize crowdfunding in a Web3 type environment. I think that what is important to say is that earlier in the year, when we were looking at projects that we knew were building on Hedera, a lot of them were probably not prepared for an IDO. They lacked a few critical skills that could have taken their project to mainnet. And that's why we wanted to add an accelerator flavor to everything, just to give all these projects an additional boost. So the accelerator project came about as a result from speaking to some of our ecosystem partners, and we're building a accelerator that's fully decentralized and distributed. We have a few partners and key industry experts that we're looking to connect the projects coming through accelerator with. Just to enable them from everything for tokenomic strategy, business models, security, legal, everything that they might need to get their project from idea or from a steady point to full-on mainnet and consumer adoption. The Headstarter DApp is currently live on the Hedera mainnet. We're actually in the middle of doing our proof of concept IDO. We're doing a couple IDOs just because we know that the IDO concept is probably something that has been a bit foreign to the Hedera community, but also we want to make sure that we attract some of the people from the other crypto communities that are familiar with IDOs towards Hedera. So we know that we have an uphill battle ahead of us. We also know that we're swimming against the stream because of everything that's happening in the crypto markets today. But we stay true to our cause to enable the Hedera ecosystem, and we aim to lead by example.
All right, good stuff, Tudor. So what's the first step for a project that wants to get involved?
So for anybody who's building a solution on top of Hedera, and especially for the ones that are looking to have their own native utility tokens, I encourage them to apply for a IDO on headstarter.org. There's an application form at the bottom of the page. Afterwards, somebody from our team will be in touch and start taking the project through a due diligence process. And once this due diligence process is completed, we can prepare them for a IDO on Hedera.
Tudor, thank you so much for coming on, and I can't wait to get you and some of the projects back when they start to launch.
Looking forward to that as well, Brandon. Thanks for having me.
I'm constantly amazed at some of the things that the Hedera community finds and posts, and I wanted to highlight a few today. First, there's one from Twitter handle @HederaStaking. They posted that AOL, Yahoo, MSN, and Google were all top websites because they were driven by utility of the best email. Hedera HBAR will be driven to the #1 utility crypto token soon, and the world will first observe this with Atma.io. They attached this clip of the most popular websites from 1993 to present to drive home their point. It really shows that it's not always the first that rises to the top, no matter how much of a head start or a foothold they have. It comes down to the best platform to build on for customers and users. And I'm confident Hedera is going to be at the top of that list when it comes to DLT technology. Next, there was Parabolic HBAR with some speculation. His thread showed how Apple, Microsoft, and Google use FIDO Alliance standards to secure identity. He goes on to highlight how FIDO Alliance references Hashgraph in their patents and how Hedera Governing Council Chairman Brett McDowell worked with FIDO Alliance for over 8 years. He also covers Hedera's deep ties to the online identity industry. My main takeaway from this thread is how well-positioned Hedera is to facilitate the next generation of online identity infrastructure, which will be critical to the mega-cap enterprises mentioned. The last one was a thread by SurgeWomen, a Web3 platform built on Hedera. You can tell they're a bit newer to the ecosystem, and they highlight all the things we love about the network, including services like HTS and Smart Contracts 2.0, as well as the ABFT security and energy efficiency. As more people become aware of the tech, the more they will go down the rabbit hole and become evangelical. Thanks to all the Hederians out there for all that you do. This is hands down the best community in the space. As we discussed in the HBAR market update last week, the ARCA CIO puts a lot of weight in the underlying infrastructure built around a project when valuing Layer 1 DLT protocols like Hedera. That being the case, the pace of expansion the HBAR Foundation is creating is something they might take notice of. Since the last time we reviewed what the HBAR Foundation is up to, there's been several projects announced. The first one being a collaboration with the DLT-focused gaming ecosystem 1-11. 1-11 focuses on play-to-earn as well as NFT creation and trading across multiple games and apps. They have something for every gamer, including fantasy sports applications for sports fans, mobile gaming apps for casual gamers, metaverse RPG games for hardcore gamers, and even gamified education for the intellectuals out there. Using a play-to-earn model with all games tied to a common wallet, gamers can seamlessly transfer earnings between games, and also enjoy an NFT marketplace so they can show off associated HTS NFTs. 1-11 has worldwide ambitions, with their COO saying, "Our vision is to create the world's largest, sustainable play-to-earn gaming ecosystem. During COVID lockdowns, when millions of people lost their jobs, they found our games to be a source of consistent income. We're proud to share that people not only enjoy our games, but they see 1-11 as a means to earn bread and butter. So we are now creating employment via gaming, which has transformed the lives of a multitude of our gamers." The HBAR Foundation is also helping expand the Hedera NFT ecosystem by adding support to Zeus, which serves as a secondary NFT marketplace and launchpad. Zeus is entering an HTS NFT ecosystem that already has strong players, including Turtle Moon and Hash Access. And with Zeus rapidly approaching 10 million HBAR in assets traded, the added competition only means that the consumer and ecosystem will win. Also in the NFT space, we have the Foundation supporting Hashstock, a festival-themed networking collaboration which gives all creators utilizing the Hedera network the opportunity to come together and showcase their projects, while at the same time reaching a wider collective audience. Hashstock is a non-profit event focused entirely on adding value to individual products and the network as a whole. Next, we have Merkle Science, a predictive crypto risk and intelligence platform. Their solutions include next-generation blockchain monitoring and reporting, and they are used by crypto businesses, financial institutions, and government agencies around the world for better compliance, investigations, and enforcement. Their CEO said Merkle Science envisions a world powered by blockchain and is creating the infrastructure to enable crypto's safe and healthy growth. Our mission aligns perfectly with Hedera's as they build a trusted and secure online world that empowers users with the support of the HBAR Foundation. So this partnership was a very natural fit. We also have leading crypto lending platform BlockFi adding support for HBAR. HBAR deposits will enjoy a 12% return. Unfortunately, that will not include U.S. customers due to the regulatory environment. Still, it'll be nice if it contributes to total value locked. BlockFi has some serious backers, including Valar Ventures, Galaxy Digital, Fidelity, Acuna Capital, SoFi, and Coinbase Ventures. BlockFi's goal is to serve as a bridge between crypto and traditional finance. Finally, we have Bobby Stearman, a British YouTuber and developer, entering the ecosystem to help educate developers on how to build on Hedera. His social handles are under Did Coding. Saying the HBAR Foundation is staying busy building out the Hedera ecosystem seems kind of like an understatement at this point. Since the last weekend update, we learned about how Bank Social is looking to upend the banking and loan industry. We did a dedicated market update, and we did a recap on Hedera at Consensus. In the weeks to come, we're working with TuneFM, Hashport, SaucerSwap, and Headstarter on Twitter Space AMAs. I'm also working on trying to get more from the investment space on to talk about markets, starting with ARCA, which we've been talking about a lot lately. We're all about ecosystem growth, but I'm curious how investors are looking at the space as well. Nowadays, you can't turn around without hearing about rising interest rates, and I wanted to take some time and explain what they're talking about and how rising interest rates and other actions by the Fed impacts the crypto and HBAR markets. The U.S. Central Bank, the Federal Reserve, just raised the Fed funds rate by 0.75% on Wednesday, bringing the target rate between 1.5 and 1.75%. This is the Federal Reserve target for the overnight lending rate between banks, and serves as the benchmark for all other interest rates in the economy. The Federal Reserve is raising interest rates to combat inflation, and it does so in a few ways. First, it entices people to deposit money rather than spend it, slowing money velocity. Second, people and businesses are less likely to borrow as interest rates rise. The vast majority of our money supply is created through bank loans, so this reduces the rate of new loans and thus money creation. As loans are paid off, money is actually removed from the economy, so this is one way that rising interest rates reduces money supply growth. Finally, investors use benchmark interest rates to value other investments like stocks. As interest rates rise, equities are less attractive, and the stocks fall in value. The so-called wealth effect makes people feel poorer, causing them to save rather than spend, again reducing monetary velocity. The other thing that has changed is the Fed is shifting from quantitative easing to quantitative tightening. Quantitative easing, or QE, is a way for the Fed to directly increase the money supply. Essentially, QE is when a central bank buys assets like government bonds or mortgage-backed securities with newly created money. Since the beginning of the pandemic, the Federal Reserve has created nearly $5 trillion this way. Money velocity can have a far greater impact on inflation than money supply, but an increasing money supply certainly has an impact. Well, now the Fed is reversing this money creation engine with quantitative tightening. As the mortgage and government bonds are paid back, the Federal Reserve doesn't buy new bonds to replace them. The money they receive when the bonds are paid off essentially disappears, removing money from the economy, and this process just started on June 1st. So this means there's less money to chase up prices of all risk assets, including crypto and HBAR. What's more is the markets are forward-looking and discounting what all these effects will do to asset prices in the future. And it's all happening in a slowing economy, hence all the talk about recession. Alright, that may have been a bit scarier and long-winded than I intended. I just wanted everyone to understand the impacts of rising interest rates and Fed actions. There are bright spots. As mentioned, the markets are forward-looking. Much of the impacts have been priced in, as well as additional interest rate hikes. If inflation tames and the Fed changes course, that could have positive impacts on risk assets as well. On the economy as a whole, despite some headwinds, there are amazing innovations in communications, robotics, smart cities, AI, and yes, DLT. And this could cause explosive growth at any time. I think there's the potential for some better opportunity for risk assets, but I've learned one thing when it comes to investing. Surprises are to be expected. Okay, now on to the crypto markets. Crypto has continued to struggle, and just this morning the big boys broke key support. Bitcoin broke 20K and Ethereum broke 1,000 to make new lows. Considering HBAR held up pretty well, sitting at about 6.5 cents, and unlike the others has not made a new low, so that's pretty encouraging. As discussed as the most likely outcome, we broke down out of that symmetrical triangle that we highlighted a couple weeks ago. Obviously, the Google high of about 8 cents also broke, which may offer some resistance if we bounce. It looks like we may be creating some support around 6 cents, but with Bitcoin and Ethereum breaking those key support levels, they may take another leg down, dragging the rest of the crypto market with it. But like always, we could see Hedera and thus HBAR see some positive catalysts at any time, and there's plenty to be excited about getting built and soon deployed. It'll be fun to watch how it all plays out. Thanks for watching, and like, subscribe, and drop a comment below if you appreciate the content.